Right, this podcast is sponsored by TaylorMade, the number one driver in golf. Welcome to the 1457 podcast from Scotland, where golf began. I'm Stevie, your functioning golf addict, as addicted as ever, and as usual, I'm joined by Malcolm Duck. Good evening, Malcolm.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are.
And Mr. Top 100 golf courses in Scotland. I've played most of them in the first 3 months of the year. Dave Kerr. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. It's good to be off the golf course for a couple of hours.
Dave, where did you play today?
Today I was lucky enough to be down at Muirfield.
Right.
Wonderful East Lothian.
Okay, that's enough. Next, come on, move on.
Yeah. So where were you 2 days ago, Dave?
I was down in another part of the country. I was down in the Borders, a place called Port Patrick. Terrific wee golf course.
Right, and what about a week ago?
Where did I play?
He's looking for the old course.
Killerman in Glasgow. Lovely old Tom Morris original design. Terrific golf course. Yeah, lovely one.
Another day, another golf course for Dave Kerr. Right, so what we're going to do, and actually it links to what we're going to do in this week's episode. You may remember that we started the ball rolling on our search for Scotland's Ultimate 18. And we put the question out on our social channels, which you can check out at Scotland, where golf began. You can give your view on the various favoured holes across Scotland. Now, what we have done is we've managed to get a front nine in the bag. So what we're going to have is a short list for each hole. Now, Malcolm's already given me trouble for running through what that will be, but I'm not going to do it. But you can imagine it's the first, the second, the third. I'm looking on there.
I didn't know guys from Glasgow could count.
Each hole will have a short list. Hey, none of that sort of whatever. What would you call that? Xenophobia? Each hole will have a short list of holes. And we will argue and decide on a winner. Right, so contenders for the first hole. Let's get things going. We've got Machrihanish, the Old Course, Prestwick, and Brora. And a comment from Rob Bryce on Instagram: they're possibly better design holes, but nothing beats your first tee off on number one on the Old Course St Andrews. Dave, as Fife's ambassador, please give us your view on this.
It's a hard one to beat. It's from a experience, from a history, from a tingly feeling as you step up to hit that first tee shot. There's always people watching you. 7:30 in the morning or 7:30 at night. There's always someone watching you play, and just feeling the history of the place on you as you tee off. There's few things like it, but I think Rob's right there. Are there better designed holes? I think there are. I think we've touched on a few of them there amongst the contenders. So I think it's an interesting contrast seeing the Old Course up there with some of those other courses.
I think what's great about it is from a golfing perspective, you can have a wee sclaff. You're not in any danger. A cheeky thin, probably get you near it, and you can have a massive duck hook with a driver, and you're probably fine as well. I wouldn't like to hit a big cut, a big slice. You might be in a bit of trouble though.
And then that takes us neatly on to Prestwick, I suppose, which is another one of the contenders. Which is, I think, someone put it in there just to take the mickey out of me because it's not a hole that suits me well. Not a hole that suits me well.
Malcolm, give us your view on the first hole on the Old Course.
Well, I mean, I love simplicity in golf design, and much as I've been on the Lilling Up podcast saying it was a field with a stream and a particularly flat green, which is maybe slightly harsh because it's a wonderful golf course. That simplicity is incredible because yes, you can boom a drive, but the big boys boom a drive. They're in the stream. Can they drive it? Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But the stream is in the way. Do you lay up? And if that front pin position, you got to go over the stream to get close. So it just shows it's not just the golf course; it's where the greenkeeper puts the pin and all the rest of it. But yeah, you can open your shoulders, stay left, a lot of different things you can do. And as Dave says, standing on that tee, I know one or two tour players and played at the top level and their other halves have kind of said that standing there on that tee is just like no other tee in the world for the top guys. That's why it's one of their favourites in the town. Coulthard talking about the town and all the rest of it. So no, it's pretty special.
Prestwick, Dave, you alluded to that. What through experience? I've actually, and then we've talked about this in the podcast before. I've not actually ever played Prestwick, even though I'm Ayrshire.
Have you not?
Just saying. No, just saying. So Prestwick, What's the vibe on that?
For me, it's a 7-iron, and then try and stay left in the second shot, because it's not one for me to warm up on. It's if you cut the ball as a right-hander, you need to check the train timetable.
You can see why he likes the first at the old course. Stay left and off it goes. It's a cracking hole, Prestwick. I mean, the history there, you're standing in all that history. First Open ever started there. The wee pub round the corner where it was all talked about and designed. Magical place. And they're taking a lot of the gorse down to make it a little bit easier. Dave just needs to wait the train come past, so he slices it, bounces off the train back on, and he's fine. Cracking golf hole. But I think, and you, Stevie? No, you've not played it, so you can't forget that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Cheers, yeah. Thanks.
So do we move on to Machrihanish?
No, not yet. What about Brora? Have you boys played Brora?
Yeah. Again, it's.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, Dave.
I would say it's a pretty gentle handshake actually into Brora. It's an elevated tee to down to the fairway, and then the fairway kind of climbs up away from you. It's and again, you are standing in a bit like Machrihanish, I suppose. You've got the ocean out there where the railway is on Prestwick. You've got the ocean in Brora, so it's a lovely golf hole. I think there are better holes at Brora, if I'm honest. So I think it's a worthy contender, but I don't think it makes my number one of these four.
Well, we've got at Infamous Mofo on Twitter saying, surely it's Machrihanish. And I think I would echo his sentiments, to be honest. That's a pretty special hole as your first hole. Are we? Yeah.
Just
unanimous. It's unanimous. The first time. Well done to Machrihanish.
Yeah, I mean, it's the drive getting across, looking across the bay. Special golf course, special place, great accommodation, great food. Very special, very special.
Brilliant. Well done, Machrihanish. Okay, second hole, contenders. Royal Donnock, North Berwick and Gullin 1. Immediately, I'm going to say Royal Donnock because we've got two from East Lothian, and I just feel that that's misrepresentation of Scotland's finest golf courses. But I'll let Malcolm kick us off with this Gullin 1 debate.
Gullin 1 is... the second hole is just why I never know whether I love it or hate it. It's I remember... a few years ago when the rough was up, you had to play it as a par 5 because of that long narrow green and narrow entrance. So if you got it a good drive and a good second shot, and if you left or right, you're in the rough and away. It's a tremendous golf hole. You really got to think your way around it. That green, I don't know many greens that are as long and narrow like that in links golf. So
it's the narrowness that I remember from it.
It suits the land. You got to think your way around it. It's very well designed. I mean, one of the things in Gullin is getting up and over the hill, but you don't feel like that on that hole at all. You got to hit your drive in the right place, though the fairway is generous for higher handicappers. And then you got the choice: do you lay up and chip on, or do you go for it? I just think that's an absolutely tremendous golf hole.
What about Royal Donnock, Dave? Have you played Royal Donnock?
Yeah, again, it's just would that have been March time, Stevie? I think. Yeah, I think it's.
Sorry,
I
should have said. Have you played Royal Donnock in the last few weeks?
Well, actually, I have. Actually, I have the last few weeks with the 1457 Society, which is the offshoot Scotland Golf Began. And for those guys who want to know about the 1457, see why we're called the 1457 podcast. 1457 Society is the golf club of Scotland where golf began, which you can look up online and come and join us. We had a society outing out there. We had a match against Nairn, and we played Dornoch in the Struy, the wee course there in the Struy, cracking little golf course, well looked after by Dornoch and Neil Hampton and the rest. It's a great hole. The second, and it gets rave reviews. Right? I think they're better par 3s on the course. I mean, it's. And you could have a whole golf course full of par 3s on this 18 because they're such fun. Maybe par 5s, do they feel as exciting? Because if you don't have a par 5 in a golf course like Long Nidri, you feel the holes are long. It gives you kind of rest before you're trying to get to the green, gives you a break and knocked out in a hole. But it's a very well constructed hole. You've got that big mound up there with the green on top. You miss it. I think Tom Watson said it's the second shot's the hardest second shot in golf or something. Something along those lines. So, I found the second shot was quite hard.
I I'm trying to remember. I have played it, but I'm trying to remember North Berwick. I mean, you've got basically Canny M on Twitter says have to give it to North Berwick West Links, spectacular. But remind me of the second at North Berwick.
So North Berwick, you kind of start off on the first to the sea, then you go up, and then this wonderful vista with the Marine Hotel on the back on the left hand side, and the bay. And I remember playing that, and then one time I went to play North Berwick, and the hole had changed because the sea was in. I just hadn't played the hole with the sea in for 4 years. So you can actually take a line down the beach, and it's not a bad second shot in. You probably don't want to do that. So you got to aim left towards the hotel and decide how far left you're going to go. The further left you go, the longer your second shot is in. It's a cracking little green. Looks quite deceptive, looks quite innocuous, but you got to make sure you roll your in it nicely protected by bunkers, but not ridiculously protected.
Yeah.
And just the views, and again, a bit like, North Berwick's a bit like Muirfield. It starts in the town and finishes in the town. So, very great fun golf course, very friendly people, and great eating and drinking around the town as well. So I got a cracking golf hole.
I think that for me, when I think about it, what I love, I think for me, Gillen sort of tips it just because it's such a challenging golf hole as well and very unique, because you've got an uphill second shot and that narrow green, and then the sort of rough covered bowl. I don't know how you boys feel about that.
And when I'm thinking for this, when they played the Scottish Open there, was that the first hole?
Played it first, yeah.
They skipped the first day, and then that was the first hole that the pros played. So yeah, I agree. Again, it doesn't necessarily suit my shot shape, but it's a terrific hole, absolutely terrific hole. And that, the approach to the green is that really forces you to sharpen your pencil and think about what you want to do with it. And, how many extra yards are you having to play up the hill? You've got no margin of error left or right. It needs to be on the flag basically all the way. I think it's a terrific golf hole.
So Malcolm, you agreed with that, Gillen?
Yeah,
you're just happy it's East Lothian. East Lothian wins. The second
Scotland's
hole
golf
at Gillen, well done.
Scotland's golf coast. It's called Scotland's golf coast.
All right. On to the third. So, interestingly, we have two contenders from Prestwick. We have Prestwick's third and Prestwick St Nicholas's third. And alongside that, we're heading north to Carnoustie and further north to Castle Stewart. S. Proctor Golf on Twitter, who has been a guest on this podcast, says Cardinal at Prestwick. Ian Donaldson on Facebook, Prestwick St Nick's is one of those holes that looks easy in the card and leads to birdies, but you can run up a 6 just as easily, which is a fair point too. Chris Muir on Facebook, Carnoustie, so many different ways to play it and make a mess of it. Right, let's start with Carnoustie. What's your thoughts on the third for that? Dave?
Yeah, again, I think it feels to me like Carnoustie, the great thing about Carnoustie, those first two holes really just kind of introduce you to the golf course. You get a bit of a feel of the character of the place, and then it feels to me like the golf course really starts on that third hole. Again, it's a test, and again, one of the things that Carnoustie obviously plays on is being golf's greatest test, and I think it has probably 5 or 6 of some of the toughest holes in Scotland, and the third is a tricky one. I know we're going to, without spoiling the surprise, I know we're going to talk about some more at Carnoustie as we wind through this front nine. I think it's I can absolutely see why people have nominated that. It's a great hole with options, which is maybe that's the skill of as an architect, isn't it, to build a golf hole that's got options, so you have choices as to how you play it.
Castle Stewart, Malcolm, any thoughts on that?
I haven't played it for quite a while. It's tremendous hole. What I love about Castle Stewart generally is that you can attack a lot of the holes. It kind of invites you to play it and attack it. And of course, just now we're not about the hole, but we've got second course being done up there by Tom Doak and young Clyde. So that's going to be interesting to see how that comes on. I've not played it for a bit, but it's stunning. Views are great. You're down by the sea. This is kind of stuff's just so hard.
That one plays right out to the point as well, though, doesn't it?
Right out to the point. So yeah, that's right.
Point. It's beautiful. But again, it's still you're coming up the fourth. I'll talk about Kilspindy's fourth. It's
maybe don't quite have the dangers you have Kilspindie there, but it's just a tremendous golf hole. And a couple later on, we'll talk about how the sea affects it and so on. I mean, I'd play it every day, but I don't think it's the best one there. But I mean, the whole course is fantastic, and yeah, I can see why people would put it right up there.
I like the suggestion of Prestwick St Nicholas because I think that's definitely a very much an underrated golf course in general, and that is a cracking hole with its elevated green and you head down towards the sea. I think there's something special about that hole.
Well, that's where I'm kind of hanging off because one of the things we're trying to do in Scotland where golf began is bring these different places. So we're not trying to penalise on this. Can penalise a course that's well known, an open course, not to penalise that, but. If it's a swing between whatever else, maybe we give it to someone like that. I mean, the third at Prestwick's phenomenal, but Prestwick St Nicholas, how many people even know about Prestwick St Nicholas? It's
in the bin for me because I've not played it, even though I keep hinting about getting a game in Prestwick. So, whereas I've been welcomed many times in Prestwick St Nicholas, and actually, my grandmother was a former captain there. So,
you're not allowed to vote.
I tell you what though, that is an amazing 36-hole day though, isn't it? Like to play the original Open venue and then play Prestwick St Nicholas. What a day that would be! What a day!
Right, we're giving it to St Nicholas.
Yep,
fair play to Ian Donaldson. Well done, third hole, nice one. Right, on to the fourth. This is hard. This is hard. Kilspindie, Cruden Bay, or Shiskin. But Malcolm, you actually have got a bit of a sort of steward's inquiry about this. You want to sort of make a case for yet again another Scotland's Golf Coast, in inverted commas.
Well, I mean, Renaissance, it depends which way around you play it. I'd have it as the 7th, but of course it is the 4th in the Scottish Open route. So I think we can fling some of the Renaissance holes backwards and forwards in different holes. All the courses can do that. Because you could actually put Gullen 2 as Gullen 1, I guess, as the Scottish Open route if we're doing that as well. But I think,
so you're trying to play a Renaissance chip here. Is that what you're trying to say? You're trying to play
the 10th hole at Renaissance across the cliff with a lighthouse there, but I'll push that to contender for 7. But for me, Kilspindie, that 4th hole, the 3rd and the 4th and the 8th, those are 3 of the best holes of golf I know. Kilspindie is such a great. Everyone knows it's one of my favourite courses ever. If I have one course left to play because it's not going to spit you out, I might want to play it twice because it's short. But the 3rd as well. The 3rd, you have to keep it left, really tough shot into the green from the left hand side, and then the 4th, that right out to the point, green runs away from you. You've got Edinburgh background and the silhouette of Edinburgh, and you're out there in the evening, and it's just magical. You've got to drive in the right place, too far left, too long. You're in a wee pot bunker that keeps sneaking up on you. Just simple and beautifully designed. So
I don't know, mate, because do you know what? The Shiskin is the 4th, and Shiskin is a pretty special hole.
Yeah,
you've got to say. And you know what I love about holes like that with the elevated tee and you hit down to the green, and I mean, forgetting the scenery of being heading towards the beach with the water out in front of you it always flatters your golf shot. You could thin it and it looks amazing. You could hit like a big fluffy hook and it would look great because it's going to travel so far in the air before it hits the ground. So I've got strong feelings for Shiskin, but I think Dave can be the man who makes the decision on the 4th hole here.
I was been lucky enough this year to play Kilspindie twice, where people who've not played it, with people who've not played the course before, right. And I think their reaction when they get out to that 4th green is something to behold. And I think if you're listening to this podcast and you have not been lucky enough to play Kilspindie, get out there and embrace it. It is an amazing golf course, and I think the 4th is a deserved winner here.
Yeah, give me a shout. Okay. I'm a member of the Aberlady Club, which plays there, the Artisans Club, and it's just a special place. And of course, right at my doorstep at Ducks Inn.
Were you a fine establishment, a fine hostelry?
Indeed.
You could walk.
Could
walk from there to, yeah.
Sometimes you can't walk back, though. Anyway.
Okay, so on to the 5th. I can't believe Prestwick's in this again. Crail, Stranraer and Prestwick. Gowfer Boy on Twitter says, Crail takes some beating, risk and reward tee shot across the beach. Tough approach to a bunker green that slopes left to right and front to back, which I think is a fair point. On JR RJ Batson on Instagram says the Himalayas at Prestwick. And then at John Smith on Facebook, Stranraer, you can't disagree with that. Has anyone played Stranraer like on in our crew? No.
I'm sorry.
No. So that's tricky for Stranraer to pull this off in this debate when none of us have played it. I'm going to take the fifth on the Prestwick comments. So maybe Dave could give us a sort of refresher on what the fifth at Prestwick is all about.
It's one of those rare things these days, and it's a blind par 3, where you're hitting over a ridge, guided by a series of posts, depending on which tee you're paying for, as to what your line should be. So it's one of those, you may have thought you've hit the best shot, you've hit it absolutely sweet, exactly where you wanted to put it, and you're in a bunker, or you've dollied one over the top of the hill, it runs down the other side, and you've got a nice wee, putt off the green maybe to the hole. So it's a hole that you wouldn't build these days, certainly. And I think, as someone who quite enjoys the history of the game, I think Prestwick's fifth is a great suggestion. The Himalayas, it's really special.
Just a wee story on that. I played Prestwick when the Open was at Turnberry, and with Jerry from Renaissance and two of the American PGA guys, and we started on the 15th by the clubhouse, which has got very, very narrow fairway. They couldn't believe that. And then the 16th, where do we go here, Baz? Little wee hoose on the there, and it'll funnel around. Really? And then 17th, blind, bottom of the hill, blind second shot. 18th, okay, that we talked about the first, second, tough little par 3, third, hit it across there, try and be short of the logs, then knock it kind of in there, and we'll get there. And then the 6th, where do we go here? Well, just keep way left of the stream. And what? And then we got to this little hole here, par 3. So the fourth is the stream, and then you said, "You're shitting me." It was absolutely brilliant, because that's just the toughest, quirkiest part of Prestwick, all condensed into each other. Tremendous golf hole, absolutely tremendous golf hole.
I think if we're talking about Crail, the tee shot across the beach is pretty special as well. It's one of the best holes on that golf course, I think that gives it, strong contention to this. And then the green, the way it does slope left to right and front to back towards the sea, makes it a challenging hole. I realised that I've sort of seemed to have taken the view of these holes as like the ones that are the most sort of challenging golf are attractive to me. And I don't know whether that's a bit of sadomasochism in me or what, but Crail, I think, is definitely kind of ticks a lot of boxes for me.
And the wind makes a huge
Malcolm,
difference.
this time you can make the final decision on this.
Well, I go Crail, because you've got, Kilspindie, then the next hole, fourth, with the fifth at Crail. I mean, that's pretty special golf. I mean, it's spoiled for choice. And again, what we're not doing here is trying to balance a golf course. We're not trying to make it a length, 2 par 3s, 4 par 5s. We just talk about the holes individually. We could probably do a whole thing on 18 of the best par 3s. That's because we got some cracking par 3s in Scotland. We really do. Yeah, so I go Crail there.
Okay, Crail's the fifth. Well done.
Honourable mention to Stranraer, and perhaps a resolution that the three of us need to go and play Stranraer at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah, apologies to Stranraer if I upset you.
Absolutely. Well, we're on to the 6th, and I have to say this is a very, very difficult 3 holes that we are actually, not only are they difficult to play, it is difficult to separate amongst them which one is the best. Carnoustie, Panmure, and Western Gales. So Peaky950 on Twitter says, got to be Hogan's Alley for me at Carnoustie. Richard Morrison on Facebook, Panmure, Hogan's Hole. Daunting setting if you've got nailed the drive, and then it's tough. And interesting, both of them have got Hogan relationships. So, I mean, I think the 6th at Western Gales is a great hole. If you remember, it's the par 5 that's like dips into the, like your second shot is into a dip and the green's blind. But Panmure, I think and again, it's a blind tee shot. It's pretty special. It's a really hard hole. I love the way the green's situated on that hole.
Great course, Panmure.
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal course.
I think 1457 got an outing up there later on this year.
Oh, right, cool. I can't remind me of Carnoustie, Dave.
So
6th hole.
Great for me. Great for me. I'm aiming out over the shooting ranges and letting it fall back inbounds. It's Hogan's Alley, really tight. You've got out of bounds up the left, then you've got a kind of narrow corridor, then you've got basically a corridor of bunkers. So it's really trying to find that tight little space up the left, or you've got lots of room on the right. So you go space out there, basically. So that's where the idea of Hogan's Alley came from. He played in that narrow strip between the out of bounds and the bunkers all 4 days. He won the Open there, and that's where the name came from. It's got to be one of the best holes on that golf course. Again, like we talked about earlier, helping it live up to its name of Scotland of golf's greatest test, because it's a hole you need to really have a think about before you step up there and hit your tee shot.
Listeners, you're probably getting from this that Dave's really good at a draw. And
I was about to say
he's best.
He's had it in a left to right wind in that hole.
He's best with a draw with a pencil and a piece of paper. Apart from that, just go ask him a draw.
It worked okay for Lee Trevino, Martin
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So your big power fade.
Exactly.
Very controlled. Very controlled.
Very sexy slice is very good. Right, so we're going with Carnoustie for the 6th. Well done, Carnoustie.
Yeah.
7th, I've got strong feelings about this, but I will reveal them after I let you guys speak. We've got Gullin 1, Askonish, Merker Links, and Western Gales. Now, has anyone played Merker Links? No. Well, that means, unfortunately, Merker Links, you're going to have to invite us.
I need to go and do that. I've played Royal Aberdeen numbers of times, and great stories.
Info at where Scotland, where golf began. Just send us an email. Dave will be there like yesterday.
I think we've had clients accidentally play Merker Links.
Because it's right beside Royal Aberdeen, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I kick off for Gullin 1 because I'm sitting beside it. I mean, Gullin 1 is, it's probably the best viewpoint in Scotland's golf course. Is allowed to look around. The views are stunning. Right down the hill, a couple of bunkers in different places. Just about you can get a long way down there with the wind behind you. And you can't get anywhere with the wind against you. But the views are stunning. And a golf hole, it's pretty good. But for me, it's a bit more about the views than it is about the golf hole, if that makes sense. It is a great golf hole. So
that's the one with it's an elevated tee, but you're heading towards the sea, but it's down the hill. Is that right?
Yeah, you stand there, and if you go the back, all the courses, all the fourth Edinburgh is in front of you, most of you slowly, and Muirfield Renaissance behind you. Turn around and look at it. Panorama's just fantastic. You're cracking view. It's a good golf hole.
What about Askonish, Dave?
Askonish. It's probably, I think, the first time you really see the ocean on Askonish is climbing up to that 7th tee box, elevated tee box, fairway down in front of you, a few well-placed bunkers, quite a tight, narrow neck to the green. As I say, just the water running right down the side, views across to Barra. It's definitely Askonish's signature hole. Arguably worth the journey across to South Uist just to stand on that tee, to be honest.
Well, really Gus Gurney on Twitter says anyone who doesn't vote for Askonish hasn't been there. It's an awesome golf hole. James WI886 says 7th Askonish is sensational, probably the best driving hole in Scotland. I would actually have to say that for me, Western Gales, the 7th hole is the signature hole for Western Gales. Really tough, long par 3. You hit your tee shot into a sort of bowl, guarded by bunkers, but it's all carry. And if you're off the back tees, you're talking like a 3-4 iron. And, that's a 4 iron maybe if there's no wind. When is there ever no wind at Western Gales? You can hit a driver in there. I remember hitting a 3-wood in there the last time I played because the wind was so strong. I think for me that's a phenomenal hole. I think that'd be hard to beat as a 7th.
No,
I have a unanimous vote from my compadres. So 7th hole at Western Gales. Well done. Right, we were in Aberdeen for the 7th Merker Links, but we were the course right beside it. Royal Aberdeen has been pitched up here for the 8th. We've also got Royal Troon and we've also got Kilspindie. Is the 8th at Kilspindie a par 3, Malcolm?
Par 3 out in the corner, absolutely stunning hole. Remember taking Tom Doak out there to look at it when he came to Renaissance. Just stood for hours watching it. I mean, it's over the bay. Used to be able to hit off the bay. They've made it out of bounds for health and safety. I mean, health and safety is destroying the world. It really is. Crying out loud. The 9th, we built a bloody house, and you're not allowed to hit the ball more than 200 yards because whoever lives in the house up there beside Kilspindie. But it's an absolutely stunning hole. Beautiful, beautiful hole. Lovely fence. You'll see a lot of pictures. Do Kilspindie. You'll Google it. You'll see all the pictures of it. Good green, flat at the bottom, then runs up. So not the easiest, well guarded by bunkers. If you're going right back, it's into the wind. It's a lot of club, and with the wind, it's not a lot of club. It's quite a few holes like that in Scotland. But it's if I was going to fight for one Kilspindie hole, it'd be the 4th or the 8th, and there's another hole on there that's pretty iconic in Scottish golf. So much as I'll argue hard for Kilspindie, probably not going to argue hard enough to beat the other hole that when you go to there and you're wondering why everyone's chipping back off your fairway, and then suddenly you stand on the tee and you find you're chipping back up where they were chipping. Might be talking about Royal Troon. Because it really looks weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, before we get to that, we've got Royal Aberdeen, though. I mean, that's another par 3, well guarded with bunkers. Richie Ramsey's a big fan
that front
of that.
front nine of Royal Aberdeen is just one of the best front nines in the world. So Eric,
absolutely. Actually, bears a lot of similarities to Western Gales, I think, the front 9 of
I think
Aberdeen.
It's just a bit more defined, a bit more ruggier. It's not ruggier.
Ruggier?
Ruggeder?
More rugged.
Intervention, Stevie. More rugged.
Royal Troon, the 8th hole postage stamp. We have been trying very hard to avoid the obvious in this Scotland's Ultimate 18, but you have to say, as 8th hole go, it must be, a pretty memorable one.
Again, it's so short that you think, well, this is just a scoosh, it's just a wee flick, and I'll be putting for a 2, and we'll go to the next tee with a big smile on my face. But it's fraught with danger. You can't be short. You can't be long. You can't be left. You can't be right. It's. I say that as someone who played it last week, actually, and.
And why does that not surprise me, David? Why does that not surprise me?
My tee shot was exactly where I wanted to put it, and then I just forgotten that there's a very deep bunker just on the left-hand edge of the green. So I was there. Next thing you know, I'm patting for a 5. It's
funny they called the 6th at Renaissance the shortest par 5 in East Lothian. I should have talked about the 6th at Renaissance back there. It's not designed on the postage stamp, but there are a lot of similarities. Again, it's a wedge, but the postage stamp, you got the hill on the left hand side, you got a wedge, it's bunker front left, and anything that runs away, you've got bunkers down the side. So any kind of wind, and you hit a wedge, having to set it out over the hill to land it on the green. It's just great fun and requires a lot of skill if there's any wind to play the shot correctly, and cojones, balls, guts, whatever you want to say that's politically incorrectly correct nowadays, says the guy who's a duck.
Right, on that poetry, I think we'll say that the winner is postage stamp. Right, we're on to the last hole in our ultimate front 9 for Scotland in Scotland's 18. Remember, if you like any of, or you disagree with any of our choices, you can get in touch with us at Scotland Where Golf Began on social media channels. Right, contenders are Durness, Turnberry, Macrae and Cruden Bay. Let's start with Macrae on this. Who is talking about Macrae? Who's played there most recently? Dave.
Yeah, I was out there a couple of months ago, actually. Maybe a month or so ago. Again, it's what's interesting here is what have we done? I think we've got par 3s. We've got a lot of par 3s. I think you touched on that, Malcolm. People are passionate about par 3s, aren't they? So par 3 at the Macrae, downhill, heading towards the ocean again. It's just another one of those where you need to be on the green. You need to control the spin. I did have a 2 there, so I'm a little bit biased. But it's a great hole. But again, it's an August company, isn't it? With Durness and Turnberry and Cruden Bay in there as well.
Is that like September?
This is a tricky one.
Are we doing months of the year? That's August and September. August company.
He's slagging, the poet is slagging you off, Dave. Do you know what I mean? He's trying to get duck rabbit rhyming with rabbit a minute ago.
A monotonous voice, so August.
So with Turnberry, interestingly, in the Ailsa's previous iteration, it was an iconic hole, but mainly for its tee positioned out on the cliff and the lighthouse. The actual hole was pretty shit because it was a humpback fairway. It was flat, it was a humpback fairway. You never kept the ball in the fairway because of that, and you were a blind shot. Now, what they have done in the remodel is just on a different planet. Turned it into a par 3 from the same tee, a lot of carryover cliffs. It's obviously wind features. The lighthouse as a backdrop. It's pretty special hole, and it will be a tough one to beat. However, I am of the view that there's possibly another hole at Turnberry that would be better as part of our Ultimate 18. And with that in mind, I think we should debate this between Machrie, Cruden Bay and Durness. We've not really talked about Cruden Bay yet, have we? So any thoughts on that one? Dave, yet again. When I was there last Wednesday...
I need to, for full disclosure, I am a member at Cruden Bay. It's... there's.
Let's replace that with the 9th at Renaissance then. Oh no, I can't do that because I'm a member of Renaissance. I just quickly fling in there because it's not in there. But again, 9th at Renaissance.
Right. Well, before we don't give it to Cruden Bay, let's describe it for our listeners. I mean, to be fair to Rum CD on Twitter, he's like Cruden Bay. What a view! So is it all about the view?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So you play a par 3, the 8th, and then take the long walk up to the 9th tee, and then the world opens up to you. Cliff edges down the left-hand side, fairways all to the right, relatively demanding tee shot to hit a fairway that starts to narrow away from you. Yeah, it's the revelatory moment at Cruden Bay when you get up onto that 9th tee. It's very special, very special.
So, Malcolm, Durness, what's your feelings on Durness?
Not done it. That'd be a Dave.
Why don't we just call this Dave's Ultimate 18?
Okay, so it's been a couple of years since I've been to Durness, but it is
just before he starts off on Durness. This is really good for Dave talking about all these courses because he has got the face for radio. Because he did take a client to Troon just the other day to play golf who didn't know him but did recognise his voice and said, "Are you in the podcast?" So Dave is the man recognised by his voice. So
Dave,
it's his
infamy.
day.
I think we should all be pretty pleased that we're described as the podcast as well. By the way, that's cool. Quite an accolade, right?
Yeah, you know how many, and this is very true. You know how many active podcasts there are in the world?
No,
3 million.
3 million.
So well done, Dave.
Can you count to 3 million?
So Durness is basically tee, cliffs, green. It's one of those absolute classic holes. There's half a dozen of them around Scotland. The Castle Course, Kingsbarns, but Durness, the journey you've got to take to get there makes it all worth it. Terrific, absolutely amazing. One that more people should visit. So I'm all for pushing people towards Durness, and let's have that as our 9th hole.
Okay, I think that's fair enough because I think it should be all about those hidden gems. It should be those underground, but a bit of underground knowledge. This is the kind of stuff you find out if you're a member of the 1457 Society, for example. So, as usual, contact details. We are www.scotlandwheregolfbegan.com, at Where Golf Began on social, and our email is info@scotlandwheregolfbegan. And I want to remind you that this podcast is brought to you by TaylorMade, which makes the number one driver in golf. They actually make some good irons because I have some irons. I have P770 irons, which I love. I did pay for them though. I don't have a TaylorMade driver. Neither does Dave. So maybe it's time for them to send one over to us so we can try it out. Fair enough. Malcolm,
Yeah, just a wee bit on, do go and have a look at the website, scotlandwheregolfbegan.com, and think about the 1457 Society. We've got a lass called Pam across America just now, and her handle is Swing for Joy. And she's here for about 80 days, member of the 1457 Society, and through the Discord channel, for those who didn't, Discord is a kind of WhatsApp type thing. She's planned pretty well all her trip, playing all over the place. And you look at the photographs and the stuff that are on there, give you the reason to come to Scotland, whether it's 2 or 3 of you or in a big group. But if you come in 2s and 3s and you can find members to play with, that really begins to work. So that's what we're all about in Scotland Where Golf Began. We haven't really talked about the accommodation, the hotels, and all the great places to stay and eat and drink, but we'll be well with Pam on the podcast talking about that trip later on. So please go and visit.
Well, on that note, remember you can listen to all our podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for 1457 podcast, and we talk about all of those things: Scotland, across Scotland, the best golf courses, the best places to eat, and some of our travails whilst doing all of that. We're going to be back very soon with Scotland's Ultimate 18, the back nine. And we're going to have a word with Dave to make sure that he's played every single hole that is nominated, which I think is a pretty much good chance. And remember, on social, Where Golf Began, at Where Golf Began, you'll be able to sort of find out how the voting's going for each hole and put your thoughts in whenever you can. We'll be back soon. Bye.
Bye.